Hey, old man, you sure that wrench isn't older than you? The line drew laughter across the hangar. The Army engineers, young, loud, fresh out of tech school, stood around the open engine bay of an M1A2 Abrams tank that refused to start. Its panels were scattered like a metallic puzzle, and frustration hung in the air. In the corner, Walter Walt Hayes, gray-haired and grease-stained, wiped his hands on a rag and watched quietly. He'd been called in as a civilian mechanic consultant, though no one there took that title seriously. "Look, Grandpa," another engineer said, "we're working on classified tech here. You might want to stick to tractors." More laughter. Walt just grunted and set down his coffee. His jacket sleeves were rolled up to the elbows, exposing weathered arms and a faint burn scar that ran across his wrist, a mark none of them noticed. He didn't argue, didn't even look offended. He'd been through worse than words. "Hey, Pops," the youngest engineer called, waving a diagnostic tablet. "Tell you what, if you can fix this thing, I'll buy you dinner at the mess hall. If not, maybe you can sweep the floor instead." The group erupted again. Walt only smiled. "Make sure it's a big dinner, son. I eat a lot when I work." They didn't realize the joke wasn't for them. The Abrams sat like a sleeping giant under the blinding hangar lights. Its armored skin shimmered faintly with dust and hydraulic oil. The crew had been trying for 3 days to run a full systems check, but the engine control module refused to initialize. "No data response, no ignition," muttered Lieutenant Carver, the project lead. "We've replaced every cable, every fuse. The ECU's clean." "Maybe the ghost in the machine's tired," someone joked. Carver sighed and turned toward Walt. "You got any ideas, old-timer?" Walt walked slowly around the tank, his boots echoing on the concrete. "You changed the power couplings?" "Yeah. Ground wire. Twice." He nodded thoughtfully. "Then maybe it's not what's broken that's the problem." Carver frowned. "Meaning?" "Meaning maybe you're not asking it right." The men laughed again. "Oh, sure," said one. "Maybe the tank's just shy. We should whisper sweet nothings to the starter motor." Even Carver cracked a grin. "All right, old man, enlighten us. How do you ask an Abrams nicely to wake up?" Walt didn't answer. He climbed up onto the hull, brushing a hand along the smooth metal like he was greeting an old friend. His eyes softened. "She'll start when she knows who's touching her." The room fell quiet. For a moment, the laughter died, replaced by puzzled glances. "Okay, everyone, back up," Carver said, half amused, half curious. "Let's see the magic." Walt crouched near the driver's console, pulling a small toolkit from his bag. Every motion was slow, deliberate, like a man handling something sacred. He traced his finger across the old diagnostic port, the kind most new techs didn't even know existed anymore. Then he pulled out a manual connector, something that looked prehistoric next to their digital tablets. "What's that?" one whispered. "A bridge," Walt muttered, "between what's new and what we forgot." He plugged it in, twisted a few knobs, and reached up to the ignition switch. The hangar went silent. He turned the key. Nothing happened. Snickers rippled through the engineers. "I told you, old man," said the youngest one. "That thing's done for." But Walt didn't move. He adjusted one wire, tapped a small switch under the console panel, and whispered almost to himself, "Come on, girl. Remember me." The console lights flickered. Once, twice, then everything lit up, a full system boot across the display. The tank roared to life, its engine rumbling deep and fierce, vibrating the floor beneath their boots. The laughter turned to stunned silence. Carver blinked. "What the hell?" The onboard monitor flickered, and then words appeared across the HUD in bright green text. "User recognized. Hayes, Walter J. Master Tech level access granted." The young engineers stepped back as the system beeped and unlocked every secured function. The name was burned onto the screen. His name. Carver stared at the console like he'd seen a ghost. How is that even possible?" Walt climbed down slowly, wiping his hands again. "Guess she remembered me." One of the engineers muttered, "That can't be right. His name's in the system. That's legacy developer-level access. Carver turned sharply. Wait, developer? Walt gave a small shrug. I was part of the prototype team, back when we built her. Silence. He continued, voice steady, but soft. It was 82. We were testing an early engine management unit for the Abrams. They said it couldn't be done, linking the analog core to a digital feedback system. But we made it work, Carver whispered. You built the control unit? Designed it. Wrote most of its firmware myself. The ID you just saw? It's the old failsafe code, put in by me, in case she ever got stuck. The youngest engineer stepped forward, eyes wide. You're saying, this tank knows you? Walt chuckled quietly. Not me, son. The man I used to be. The hangar was dead silent again. Every sound, the hum of lights, the hiss of hydraulics, seemed to fade into the background. A voice echoed from the hangar door. Well, I'll be damned. Everyone turned. Standing in the doorway was Major General Briggs, head of base operations. He'd come down after hearing that one of the Abrams had come alive unexpectedly. He walked straight toward Walt, boots clanging. Hayes, Walter J. Hayes. Walt turned, surprised. You remember me, sir? Briggs stopped, a smile creeping across his weathered face. Hard to forget the man who saved my tank division during Desert Storm. You patched a cracked fuel line with a tent zipper and chewing gum, if I recall. Laughter, not mocking this time, but genuine, rippled around the room. Briggs' expression softened. Gentlemen, you're looking at one of the best mechanical minds the Army ever had. Half the field modifications we still use came from this man's improvisations. The engineers looked at each other, faces burning. Briggs stepped back, then snapped into a sharp salute. It's an honor to see you again, Master Technician. The old man hesitated, then returned the salute with quiet dignity. The hangar was silent except for the low, idle hum of the awakened tank. The young engineers crowded around, asking questions, eager, ashamed, respectful now. Walt answered a few, but mostly he smiled, eyes distant. Carver finally approached him. Sir, we... Don't worry about it, son, Walt interrupted gently. You just learned something no manual teaches. What's that? Respect, for the people who built what you're standing on. He patted the tank's hull one last time. She's all yours now. Treat her right. As he walked toward the exit, the digital screen inside the Abrams flickered again. Thank you, Walter. Carver saw it and froze. Did you see that? But Walt was already halfway out the door, sunlight cutting across his gray jacket. He raised a hand in a small wave without turning back, and as the hangar door slowly closed behind him, every man inside stood silently, watching the legend they'd just laughed at, the man who'd built the very heart of their machine, disappear into the light.